Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, and the San Francisco 49ers host Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, and the Panthers in a huge NFC matchup. How great it feels to continue saying that Brock Purdy is back in the starting lineup for the 49ers, a team that has had so many injury issues the entire season that gets their starting quarterback back and immediately has a great performance this past week. A very clean day against the Arizona Cardinals. 3 touchdowns, 200 through the air, 19 of 26. Quite efficient, 133 rating. The type of stuff we're used to seeing from Brock Purdy. How about Bryce Young? I got to give the kid a round of applause because the way that he played against Atlanta is enough to make someone tear up. 31 of 45, 3 touchdowns, all of the criticism, the negativity surrounding his name the past 2.5 seasons that he's been the quarterback for Carolina, former Heisman Trophy winner. This kid has gone through it with his time in the league, and now after an overtime win over the Atlanta Falcons, he is quarterbacking a 6-5 Panther team that emphatically, very badly needs this win against San Francisco. Look, this is a game with all-out playoff implications. If the Carolina Panthers are not able to have success against Tampa Bay, they play them, I believe, 2 of the last 3 games to end the season, it will come down to finding a way into a wild card. Well, the San Francisco 49ers, they hold a wild card spot above them. They're a game ahead of them. It could come down to a tiebreaker. This game is massive. For San Francisco, it's just keep chugging. This team has been so much of a roller coaster this season. A lot of it having to do with the news. Is Purdy coming back? Is Jones retaining his starting role? And then Purdy comes back and plays like that, silencing all of the critics that might have said that they might want to see Mac Jones a little bit more. When you get the football to George Kittle, good things happen. 6 targets, 6 catches, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns against an Arizona team that just has been one of the worst in the NFL this season. They have not been able to really play very sound football. They didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr. on offense, and that really hurt their ability to move the football down the field consistently. Jacoby Brissett, though, set an NFL record against the 49ers. The most completed passes ever in an NFL game. He was 47 of 57, but what does that mean? They couldn't even come close to running the ball. 36 yards on the ground against that 49ers front. Very good day defensively overall from San Francisco, despite giving up close to 500 yards, but little did they care. Look, for Carolina to pull off this game against San Francisco, they need to have Bryce Young be elevated in a spot where he doesn't have the whole game rest on his right shoulder. He cannot be in a situation that's 3rd and long every other series. You got to keep this manageable. 3rd and short. They've been able to run the football throughout the season, but they could not do that against Atlanta, and that's what puts so much on Bryce Young's shoulders. He was able to deliver. Look, he was incredible, and 448 yards, a Panther record, but they got to run the football better. You're not going to be able to rely on Bryce to have that type of day against San Francisco, maybe a type of day like that the rest of his career. That was truly a career day. Ted McMillan, I don't know if there are any Panther fans that are happier than seeing their rookie 8th overall pick, right? 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm sure a lot of them have them on their fantasy teams. And he went off. And Xavier Legette, the first rounder from a year ago, 83 yards and a touchdown on the day. To see your last 2 first-round pick wide receivers have a performance like that and have a glimpse of what the future could be with this receiving core, with your quarterback playing well, and you're trying to find out, is Bryce the guy? Should we pay him $50 million a season, something like that, and commit to him long-term? Games like that really help when you're trying to formulate an opinion. But again, I'm sorry, it continues. Against San Francisco, you have to show up in a massive NFC matchup. The 49ers offense runs through Christian McCaffrey. Another massive performance from him. 2 touchdowns on the ground, 1 through the air. He remains not just a top 10 running back in the sense of running the football, but he's a top 10 wide receiver. 5 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown through the air. Just just light work for McCaffrey. 13 carries for 81. That's over 6 yards a carry. He's carried this offense throughout the entire season, continues to do it with Purdy back in the lineup. The Panthers need an answer for Christian McCaffrey. If they don't, well, they're going to have a very tough time being able to win this game, frankly, because that means you're going to have to score more than 30 points against the 49ers defense that, well, hasn't necessarily gotten after the quarterback as often as you would like. I mean, they're last in the league in sacks, not even close to where you'd like. That has a lot to do with Nick Bosa going down with the season-ending injury. Only 12 sacks on the season, and they haven't taken the football away. This team has been oriented around how good their offense has been, but they have had chances throughout the year as a defense where they have looked good. That's why they have a 7-4 record. The complementary football has been there. But overall, this is a Niner-led team through their offense. They're 10th in yards per game, middle of the pack in points per game, right around 24. And in order to beat Carolina, it's going to run through McCaffrey. I frankly think that this is a player that has such a narrative surrounding him in the sense of injuries, and all of that is understood. But when he is healthy, this is a guy that has been arguably the best back in the league consistently in those 4 years that he has been healthy throughout the entire season, and a huge part of why the 49ers would be a pretty good pick to be a team to get into the wild card picture. Still sort of chasing the LA Rams. Look, they're only a game and a half behind LA. They split those games. They already beat Arizona. They already beat the Seattle Seahawks. They've got a 7-2 conference record. They've got a very strong resume and very winnable games coming up here. Besides a Carolina and a tough team coming into their building. For the Panthers, in order to limit McCaffrey, well, you got to stack the box. 6, 7 at least guys in there to be able to limit the ground game. And it's the athleticism at the linebacking position that teams have, but he's just the type of back that's so tough to cover. And of course, George Kittle out of the slot right at the end of the line, having to challenge him and hit him at the line and stop him. It presents a very challenging 1-2 punch. It's not like the Cowboys in that game for Carolina where it's all right, it's Lamb, it's George Pickens, we know how to line up and defend these guys. It's a hybrid combination where George Kittle's bigger than your defensive backs. He's faster than your linebackers. For McCaffrey, it's a similar type of thing. He's a mismatch against any linebacker lined up against, and he's got the ability to run any routes in the route tree. So a guy like Trevon Moehrig, he's got to play well. Nick Scarton, he's going to have to get after the quarterback. Still, this is a player that had a very good season for A&M a season ago. One of the better players in the Southeast Conference. He's got to show up. Princely Umanmielen, another one of their rookies that has been somewhat limited this season. These are young guys that have to step up in a huge spot right now. J.C. Horn on the outside, well, you have to hold up in coverage against San Francisco. This is a team now with Jauan Jennings with some health that he's that main focal point at wide receiver. It's an incredibly unique passing attack with the running back, tight end, lead squad, and then a big physical blocking as well as good receiving wide receiver in Jauan Jennings. It just makes you think if they could get Brandon Ayuk back fully healthy in mid-December for the end of the year, that the Niners could be a tough out, that they could be a tough team to beat with Purdy that's got experience, right? He's been to a Super Bowl. He has been to an NFC Championship game. Like, he's got that experience and played in big moments. It's funny, but he's one of the most experienced quarterbacks legitimately in the NFC, if not the entire NFL at this stage, with games that he has played in. So it's funny as he hasn't been in the league that long, but he's still got a ton of experience comparatively to a guy like Jalen Hurts, who's been in 2 Super Bowls, won one. Brock Purdy's been in some really big football games and played well in key spots. So for San Francisco, I'm going to go with them. I really believe that they come out with a win at home against Carolina. Look, it comes down to McCaffrey. Sometimes you got to roll with who's the best player on the field and has shown that consistently throughout the season. Do I believe Carolina has answers for him? I really don't believe that they do. Bijan Robinson, for example, he went off against Carolina. 104 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and then he's got 4 catches for 39 yards through the air. That was a telltale sign for me of a way that the San Francisco 49ers would look at that film with Carolina and, okay, how did they utilize Bijan Robinson and attack the Panthers? I think that we can do something similar most likely. And then against this receiving corps, probably play a lot of zone, mix up the pressure. Robert Saleh loves to do that, putting guys near the line of scrimmage and then forcing Bryce Young to read the defense and come up with some key throws. And I think that San Francisco's got a great chance to be able to get this win, move to 8-4 on the season. And this is a must-win game for Carolina. They want to get right into the playoff picture. It's in a likelihood that the Rams will probably beat Tampa. The way that they're playing right now, that team's 8-2. Tampa, if they lose, drop to 6-5. This is that Panthers' chance. They could move into first place in the NFC South with a win against the Niners and a loss by Tampa on Sunday night at what's arguably the best team in the NFL in the Los Angeles Rams. So not a whole lot even to ask for with the Bucs loss, but what's more tricky than that most likely is a win against San Francisco. The score prediction for this one, I'm going to go Niners 26-21, eking it out in a tight fashion, commitment to the run game, keeping the onus off of their quarterback, Brock Purdy, continuing to get a combination McCaffrey, George Kittle, something like 15 targets every day, and not turning the football over as they don't take it away a lot on defense. This team's got to stay on rhythm, on schedule. That's how Kyle Shanahan has done it. Mac Jones, efficient, high completion percentage, keeping the ball out of harm's way, not having negative plays. It's a lot to do with why San Francisco is 7-4 on the year, and that's why I'll pick them 26-21. If you enjoyed this Blitz with Blinder video, please subscribe for more in the future. I'm Josh Blinder. I make NFL and college content, getting you set and ready for these games. A game with huge playoff implications. 2 teams right in the thick of the NFC playoff race. What could wind up costing one of these teams a chance at the postseason, being knocked out by the other one, or overall knocked out at the end of the season because of a loss in this game in the conference. These conference games are massive here. So I appreciate you so much for watching. Best part of the year where the stakes continue to get higher. We're nearing the postseason. The playoff race really starts to form, and we're keeping track of standings and where teams are with their seeds and trying to get positioning, what the divisional races look like. So all that great stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blinder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blinder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.